Chuck, I hate to cut you off, man, but I've been in West my whole career. West ain't never been easy.
Many NBA players stay with the same team for years, and some even spend more than 2 decades without ever changing it. Some of them even stay with their respective teams from the moment that they've been drafted up until they retire. However, not all teams match players' expectations and vice versa, and many players stay with a team for a short period of time before switching to another. Chris Paul might be one of those guys, as he's been with the Phoenix Suns for less than a year, and yet he's already thinking of leaving. So why exactly is Chris considering switching clubs? Stay with us as we take a look at 10 reasons why Chris Paul wants out of the Phoenix Suns. Before we go on, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell for future updates. Number 10. He simply didn't fit in. Even though Paul turned out to be a valuable asset for the Suns, as he did score a lot for them, it is absolutely plausible that he didn't quite fit in, and is therefore thinking of switching. It might be that the team's playstyle isn't to his liking, or his teammates and him just don't really have chemistry on the court or in private. Either way, if the whole atmosphere doesn't change, I'm afraid that Chris will eventually switch teams. These are all speculations though, so take them with a pinch of salt, as they might not be entirely true.
Yeah, I try to feel the game out. I mean, I know who I am. I can score. Being in that position, you're going to need your teammates throughout the game. So you're always just trying to get them going or whatnot. But I know, when it's time, I know what I can do.
Number 9. He isn't getting paid enough. Let's be real here. Paul is a highly rated NBA player, and the Suns are a team that have been experiencing, to put it mildly, a crisis. They haven't been as competitive in the past 10 years as they were in the 2000s, and they've frankly been pretty inconsistent on and off the court. There's a shadow that's been following the Suns, and they'll need to use all of their strength to get rid of it and start winning matches again. Less wins equals less recognition, and less recognition equals less sponsors, and less sponsors equals less money. So it's safe to assume that Paul isn't getting as well paid as he thought he would be. Sure, he's winning them a lot of matches, and he did level up the team spirit a bit, but he needs a lot of time to fix the team, and time is exactly what he doesn't have. Number 8. He lost his mojo. It might just be that Chris Paul just doesn't really care anymore. I mean, yes, he is still a good player, but is he really as good as he was? And does he really care for the Phoenix Suns, or is he just there for the money? Doing the same thing for a lifetime really takes a toll on a person, and Chris isn't an exception. If this is the case, then the Phoenix Suns was a completely wrong choice for Chris. An aging star being a part of a team that is but a shadow of its previous self is just plain wrong. Although I do believe that Paul's will for playing could be brought back together, and I believe that there still are teams that could revive the NBA star's mojo and make him play as he did before, he just needs to get his groove back. Number 7. He isn't cut out for reviving the Suns. And maybe it isn't his mojo that's the problem. Maybe it's just the fact that he took a bigger bite than he could chew. I mean, reviving a whole team is no small feat. Don't get me wrong, Paul is a competent athlete. It's just that maybe this isn't really a job for him. Or at least a team for him. Even though he is a proven player, and even though he did score some wins for the Suns, well, that alone ain't enough to save a whole team and bring it back to its former glory. Number 6. The team is too far gone to be salvaged. And hey, maybe it isn't Chris at all, maybe it's the Suns. I mean, the Phoenix Suns haven't been the most well-received team of the previous decade. In fact, they were pretty catastrophic. A lot of lost matches, no will for the playoffs. I mean, it could as well be their mojo that's missing, not Paul's. I mean, they were a lost hope before he came, and after he came, they did improve, yes. But the step forward was just that, a step. Instead of continuing to advance, they just stood there. After all the hard work that he had put into the team, the progress is so minimal that it's barely even noticeable. And what can Chris do about that? After all, he did try his best to fix the situation, but the team just refuses to fully cooperate. Number 5. The team needs a younger MVP. Maybe it isn't the team, nor is it Paul. Maybe it's the fact that the team needs someone fresher and younger to revive them. Someone who will come to stay. A new hidden gem that is just waiting to be uncovered. Just like the Golden State Warriors found Stephen Curry when they needed a new star. And now look at him. He's been playing with them for 12 years and has propelled the Warriors through the ranks. So the salvation of the Phoenix Suns might just lay in the hands of the youth that is just waiting to be drafted. Nothing is for certain, and all we can really do is guess. Number 4. Chris could hurt the Suns' defense. Another question is whether Chris Paul will hurt the Suns' defense. Even though he is a good player, and even though he had proven that there still is life in him and everything, Some people think that his age is a major factor that could hurt the defense of his team. Granted, it's not by a lot, but it dispels the narrative Paul's aging legs now render him a defensive liability. And him being a liability will hurt both the team's way upwards, and more importantly, his image. And that is the last thing that he wants now. Number 3. Paul is costing the Suns too much money. Paul is a good player, no doubt, but he is also a very expensive player. And the Suns have to cough up a whole lot of dough to get him to play for them. $85,569,960 to be exact. That's a lot of money for a team that has been struggling for the past 10 or so years. And plus, they've also dropped more than $230 million on renovations, which is just an enormous sum. So finance is a fair problem to discuss when it comes to both Chris and the Phoenix Suns, as there's a probability that both of them will be financially crippled in the long run. Number 2. Ricky Rubio might be the better pick. Ricky Rubio has everything that Paul doesn't. He might not be a better player than Chris, but he most definitely is more energetic and has much more will to fight for the team. Also, only LeBron James has more assists than Ricky Rubio on a per 48 minutes basis per NBA.com. By that same metric, Paul ranked 11th. Plus, even though Paul is the better shooter of the two, and even though he's a better defensive player, Rubio is, for all that matters, 6 years younger than Chris. And even though 6 years might sound like a small difference when you're nearing your retirement, it does matter a whole lot. Number 1. He's getting old. There's no hiding it, Chris is getting old. It may not be the team, and it might not be his mojo that's the problem. Rather, it's his age. He is in the dawn of his career, and there's no denying it. And even though he did turn out to be a good player, it's just a matter of time until his age starts to show on the court. He is, after all, almost 40 years old. And yes, some may argue that there were players that played well into their 50s, but really, what is the chance of such a thing happening? Those players stayed in their respective teams because they had security, and were already extremely successful, unlike the Phoenix Suns. And even if Paul does continue to play into his 40s and 50s, how effective will he be? He's already starting to struggle, and his future with the Suns is uncertain at best. The most logical answer is that Paul is switching teams so that he can gain as much money as he can before his inevitable retirement. Whatever happens with Paul and the Phoenix Suns is uncertain. The team has been pulling Chris down, not letting him show his full potential, and even though Paul did turn out to be a good addition to the team, he did end up costing them a lot, and it's not sure if he managed to justify the price. So what do you think? Will Chris Paul leave the Phoenix Suns, or will he stay with them until his retirement? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like this video by giving us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell for future updates. See you in the next video.